Thank you, Prime Minister. Chris Mason, BBC News. To be clear, Prime Minister, isn't the truth that you've sold out the fishermen for what you see as the greater good? And a question to the European Union, to President von der Leyen. This deal involves the UK becoming an EU rule taker, which some people here really don't like. Are you pleased to have the UK back within the EU's orbit? Thank you.
Chris, let me go first. Firstly, the focus, the driving principles of the comprehensive set of arrangements we've agreed today is about bills, it's about jobs, and it's about borders. They're the driving principles. And the SPS zone cuts away a huge amount of red tape for businesses and the way that we trade. It is incredibly important for fish because over 70% of our seafood goes into the European market. So for the first time under this arrangement, our fishing communities are able to sell more easily into the European market. As I say, 70% goes into that market. The length of time for the agreement provides the stability, because what would have happened next year is we would have come off the current arrangements, but then into year-on-year negotiations where nobody knows year-on-year where they stand. This gives stability in relation to that. It also opens the door for shellfish and the like to be sold back into the European market, which wasn't available before this deal. And, of course, we've announced the £360 transformation fund. So what this goes with is that access on a permanent basis, the SPS agreement on a permanent basis for our fishermen and fisherwomen in our fishing communities into that market. Huge amount of their stock goes into this. So this is good for fishing.
Hello, Prime Minister. Robert Peston, ITV. Prime Minister, isn't this almost the worst of possible worlds in the sense that you've laid yourself open to accusations of betrayal from Brexit supporters because we are again having rules set for food by Brussels, while you're adding back just a 20th of the GDP, the national income, that we lost when we left the European Union? And Madam President, if I may, today's framework, do you see it as an end, or do you see this as the beginning over coming years of greater integration, again, between the UK and the EU?
Well, Robert, let me be absolutely clear. This is the result of serious, pragmatic negotiations that are good for our country. And they're absolutely focused on delivery, in the same spirit, with the same mindset that we struck the deal with India and with the US. So this is very good for our country. It is hugely ambitious and comprehensive. The SPS zone, really important in terms of our market access, getting rid of the red tape and the bureaucracy that otherwise would have been there, hugely important as well to Northern Ireland. Then the security and defence partnership, in an era where we're forever saying quite rightly that it's an increasingly insecure world, to be able to strike that partnership so we can cooperate better together, invest in procurement better together, and open that door to the European funding is hugely important.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Beth Rigby, Sky News. You state your reputation on getting this deal, and to nail it down, you have given the European Union 12-year access to UK fishing waters, and you have agreed, having ruled it out last year, in principle to a youth mobility scheme. There are those today criticising you for backsliding on Brexit. Don't they have a point? And if I may, I need to ask you about what's happening in Gaza. The UN's aid chief has warned action from the UN Security Council is needed to, quote, prevent genocide in the Gaza Strip. Do you think it is genocide? And can you, in good conscience, stand there as a leader and say you have done all you can? And to the Commission President, it has been a difficult few years between the UK and the EU. You describe this deal as turning the page on those years. Many Britons will welcome this deal, but what is your message to those who voted Brexit in the UK and view these new arrangements with suspicion? Thank you.
Beth, this is a comprehensive agreement. It is balanced, reciprocal, and has huge benefits for the United Kingdom. based on our three principles, which is driving down bills, driving up jobs, and absolutely having control of our borders. And it delivers on all of those really important measures. And I think it's really significant, as you'll see, supermarkets are already coming out saying how much they support the deal, because they know what this means in terms of the SBS agreement for the prices in their supermarkets, which of course are the prices impacting on working people across the country. I think Salmon Scotland have come out already saying, one of the huge exports from Scotland, how important it is from there. So I listen to the voices of those that are trading, the businesses across the country who are saying this is a good step forward over the voices of those from either side who've predicted what they would achieve and achieved very little.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Christopher Hope, GB News. As you know, Sir Keir Starmer, critics say your deal turns us into rule takers, not rule makers on standards. The Scottish Fishermen Association, or Federation, say your deal is a horror show, far worse than Boris Johnson's botched Brexit agreement. Are they right? Have you been stitched up like a kipper by the European Union? Ms von der Leyen, the Tories will say today they will reverse everything you've agreed today. What's your message to them? And Mr Costa, what are your plans for your future summits? Do you want to see the UK and re-enter the single market and the customs union in your lifetime?
Chris, let me again repeat the driving principles behind this deal, which are really important, which is the question, does it bring down bills? And I think it's really important to see the reaction of supermarkets, of Salmon Scotland, to begin to answer that question, because they are celebrating this because they know it will reduce prices. And we all know how hard the cost of living crisis is bearing down on working people, and therefore bringing down bills is hugely important.
There's obviously plenty to dig into on the package announced today, but a question, if I may, on how this impacts the agreements that the EU and the UK already have. You'll be aware that the European Commission in December took the UK to court over its treatment of EU citizens living in the UK. That case concerns a number of potential breaches of the withdrawal agreement, the divorce deal.
Could you just speak up just a little bit?
I may. So the European Commission took the UK to court in December over its treatment of EU citizens living in the UK, and that concerns a number of potential breaches of the withdrawal agreement. Today's package once again talks about the full, timely and faithful implementation of those agreements. So to the Prime Minister, what assurances have you offered the EU as part of these talks on your implementation of the withdrawal agreement? To President Costa, are you satisfied with those assurances? And to President von der Leyen, does the Commission's legal action and court case still remain on the table? Thank you.
Let me be absolutely clear that this builds on the agreements we already have in place, which we respect and have agreed on the basis that will be fully implemented. And that's been the platform upon which we've been able to take this forward. And we've already, in relation to citizens' rights, etc., made advances even before today. But this is premised on the idea that this is a government that, when agreements are struck, respects those agreements and sticks to those agreements. And on that platform, we've been able to build so much of what we put before you today.